Good day, everyone. Welcome back to our online learning discussion, and we are now on week 2. This is Miss Michelle Joy teaching social studies for grade 7, 8, and 9 bilingual students under bilingual program of Sarasas Pitayas School. Let's proceed to our online discussion. So, our subject is social studies, and our topic for week 2 is about historical method. For historical method, we have 10 words to learn, and these words to learn are the words that we will be encountering in our next slides. Now, you can read after me so that you can practice your reading skills. Letter A, history. Letter B, method. Letter C, happened. Letter D, past. Letter E, phenomena. Letter F, record. Letter G, generation. Letter H, evidence. Letter I, data. Letter J, information. Now, class, it would really help you a lot if you are going to look for the meaning of these following words in your dictionary, or you can Google it so that you will have a better understanding about our topic. What is history? History means to ask questions about or inquire about the past. Someone who studies the past is called an historian. Studying the past is a bit like being a detective. To make sense of what has happened in the past, an historian will use the same techniques as a detective. They will need evidence. There are two types of evidence an historian will use. Number 1, primary. Primary evidence is evidence from the time. A diary, a weapon, newspapers, letters, oral evidence, painting or photos, film, map. Number 2, secondary. This evidence from after the time. Websites, books, magazine. Any form of evidence is called a source. History. History is what happened way back when. It is who made it happen. It is where we started. History is why something happened and how we have learned from it. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future." Study the past if you would define the future. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. As they say, history repeats itself. If we will study history today, we will be able to know what happened in the past so we have a better understanding of the present and the future. Why study history? It's important. History should be studied because it is essential to individuals and to society. I have a dream that all students will love history. Everything has a history. Ideas, wars, country sports, television shows, even me. What is history? History is who we are and why we are the way we are. History is not just the past. History is the present. Why does history matter? History provides an account of the way society has changed and developed over time. History helps us define our identity, who we are, where we come from, and how we are connected. How will I use history? Learn not to repeat mistakes of other people. Slavery is bad. Let's avoid another Great Depression. Never start a land war in Asia. Never go against a civilian when death is on the line. Jobs that use history: engineers, lawyers, teachers, CIA or FBI, military, archaeologists, politicians. What are we going to study? The Middle Ages, Renaissance, the Reformation, the Age of Exploration, the Scientific Revolution, the Enlightenment, the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Age of Imperialism, the Great War, World War II. I'm very excited for this
Created
school
using
year.
Powtoon.
Now, class, talking about history, if you wanted to study about the past, what happened in the past, we have to learn the historical method. Historical method is the correct way of studying about history. And in historical method, we have 5 ways. Number 1, choose a topic. Number 2, collect data or evidence. Number 3, analyze data. Number 4, interpret. And number 5, present the information. Now, in our following slides, I would explain to you the meaning of this historical method one by one. I will explain to you in a very short and simple way, in a way that you can understand the topic. Now, if you have any questions about any topic in the following slides, you can always send me a message so I can elaborate to you so you can understand more.
Hello. For today, I'm going to discuss the first lecture, which is about historical method. The term history came from the Greek word historia, which means learning. As Aristotle puts it, it is a systematic account of a set of natural phenomena, whether chronological or not. In the course of time, the Romans introduced the term science, coming from the Latin word scientia, which pertains to non-chronological systematic accounts of natural phenomena. The term history then became exclusively ascribed for chronological accounts of phenomena, especially on human affairs. History's goal is to reconstruct the past of mankind. However, most part of it is beyond recall. Needless to say, historians knew well that the reconstruction of the total past of the humankind is unattainable. Our knowledge of the past is being limited by incomplete records. Most human affairs happen without living vestiges or records of any kind. Thus, the past has perished forever, with only occasional traces of it. Only a part of what was observed in the past was remembered by those who observed it, and only a part of what was remembered was recorded. Only a part of what was recorded has survived. Only a part of what has survived has come to the historian's attention. Only a part of what has come to the historian's attention is credible. Only a part of what is credible has been grasped. Therefore, history as told, whether spoken or written, is only the expressed part of the understood part of the credible part of history as record. From the inadequate information of the past, the historian attempts to restore the past based from his own experience. Thus, the utmost the historian can grasp of history as actuality can be nothing more than mental images, based upon an application of his own experience. The historian's task is not to acquire a complete knowledge of the irrecoverable past through surviving evidence, but to recreate very similar image, as much of the past as the evidence will allow. This now makes it very clear that the historical method is the process of critically examining and analyzing the records and survivals of the past. And historiography is the imaginative reconstruction of the past from the data derived by historical method.
So number one historical method is choosing a topic. So in choosing a topic, I have here tips for selecting a topic. There are so many tips in selecting a topic, but I only chose these three basic tips so that it will be easier for you to choose a topic for your research. Number one is choose a general topic that interests you, something that you really like. Number two, begin some general research to start to narrow your focus. Are there specific people that interest you? Strategies, social movements, or events? So you can start from there. And number three, determine if there will be sufficient material and sources to support a research paper. Like, for example, if you're researching for a event that happened in the past, do you have any materials or documents that will support your research? So these are the tips that you have to consider when choosing a topic. Remember, don't tie yourself to a topic without a thorough evaluation of available sources. Your sources will ultimately determine the direction of your paper. Your sources can be internet, your sources can be books, your sources can be newspapers or any old articles. The historical method that we have is collecting data or evidence. There are 4 data collection techniques. Number 1, observation. Number 2, questionnaires. Number 3, interviews. And number 4, focus group discussions. Now, number 1, which is observation, seeing is believing, they say. So if you saw it yourself, then you will really believe that it is true. Number 2, questionnaires, one of the most popular data collection techniques. You get to ask questions and you get the answer right away from the person you're talking to. Number 3, interviews. You are the interviewer and you're interviewing someone about something, about your research. Not only one person, but a lot of person, so that a lot of people, so that you will have a lot of answers from different people, and then you are just going to choose the best one that can support other materials that you have for your research. Then number 4, focus group discussion, bringing a carefully chosen group together for a moderate discussion on the subject of the survey. Now, if you have different groups about your research, then you will have the tendency to get different information from different people. And then this different information that you get, you can narrow it down to the important ones so you can include this information to your research that you're going to present later on. The third historical method that we have is analyzing data. Did you know that this historical method is the most important one? Now, I will explain to you why. So, in analyzing data, we have data analysis and findings. From the word analyze, we have to analyze it. Okay? We have to check the facts that we collected logically and analytically. Data analysis is the most crucial or important part of any research. Why? Because it summarizes collected data. It involves the interpretation of data gathered through the use of analytical and logical reasoning to determine patterns, relationship, or trends. Use more data sets and samples in analyzing data. Do not delegate your data analysis, and always remember who will be reading your results. And when you already analyze your data, present it in a way that they will understand it. Do not complicate your research. Do not make it very difficult for other people to understand, because if they do not understand your research, then there will be a big tendency that they will not believe it. Because how can a person who do not understand anything will believe that information? So make sure that your research is simple and understandable. The fourth historical method that we have is interpreting data. But first, I will define to you what interpretation is. Interpretation is the action of explaining the meaning of something. I told you already in our previous slide, keep it simple. Keep it understandable so that people will be hooked and read your research. So in interpreting data, there are two terms to consider. Number 1, results, and number 2, discussion. Under results, we have to interpret findings based on the purpose and objectives of your study, the reason of your research. Now, letter B, relate the findings to real life context. In discussion, we have to use persuasive language to convince your readers to see the research from your point of view. That's why I told you to keep your words understandable. Keep it simple. Use simple and clear language, especially if your readers are students. The last historical method that we have is presenting the information. And research can be presented in 3 ways. So this is the last part of the historical method that we have. This is the part where we are going to present all the information, the data, the facts that we have gathered in our research. So number 1 way of presenting the information that we have is through oral presentation. We can do it inside the classroom or we can do it in a conference. The second one is poster presentation. It is usually a mixture of content, table, and graphs. Researcher stands by the poster. And the third one is writing a research paper. Pick a topic you love, stay original. Now, in presenting the information that we have to focus on the reader. We have to make sure that the reader or the audience that we are presenting our information to is hooked and understand what we are talking about. so that they will continue reading your research, and who knows, they might share the information that you have gathered to other people as well. So we're done with our online learning discussion for our week 2, and for me to check if you are able to understand our topic, I'm going to give you our activity number 2. Why number 2? Because I have given you activity number 1 for our previous online discussion. So for our activity number 2, I name it History Detective. Yes, you will be a detective in this activity. Now, what you are going to do is you are going to have a research, okay? Event you are studying. So you're going to write what event you're going to study or what event you're going to research. And then, what are the 3 questions you have about this event? You have to write it down. Now, when you do your research, you have to give me time and place, who was involved, and important information. Now, the last question, why was this an important event in history? So good luck, and I hope you will finish this activity and find this activity interesting. And that's the end of our online lesson discussion for week 2. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas for our topic, please drop me a message on our Google Classroom and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Stay safe, everyone.